Your current job is keeping you from fulfilling your life's purpose. I said what I said. Do you feel like you're dying inside every morning when you wake up to go to work? Do you feel like the world is a sad place and capitalism is the worst thing ever? No, capitalism is bad, but you get the point. This was me a couple of years ago. I felt horrible going to work. I felt like I was wasting my life. I felt like I was wasting my youth. And this is something I always say. If you are my friend, or if you're somebody that knows me or has ever met me in real life, I always used to joke around then and be like, I feel like I'm wasting my youth. I feel like I'm wasting my life. This is not what I am supposed to be doing. So if this is how you feel, I understand. And I'm going to share tips that you need to hear, or a checklist that I think if you feel this way, or if these things are happening, this is how you know it is time to quit your job. Let's be honest, change is a very scary thing. Knowing when it's time to quit your job and actually quitting your job are two different things. At the beginning of 2024, I had a very difficult time switching career paths and changing my job because I was scared. By the end of 2023, I already knew that I had exhausted everything that I had to give at that particular role, and I had exhausted everything that I was going to learn or get from that particular role. And so I knew it was time to quit. I made a plan that in the Q1 of 2024, I was going to quit my job, and I was going to hand in my notice in January, so that I would do my notice period for February, because my notice period was a month long. So I told myself by the 30th of January, you must hand in your notice so that you do your notice period in February and then you dip. I didn't have any backup plans. I was basically just going to be unemployed. And so naturally, when time came for me to hand in my notice, I got cold feet. I got scared. But ultimately, I handed in my notice because I trusted myself and I trusted God, and I trusted that I had made plans and I had taken steps even before I even got to this point that made me know, okay, yes, this is the right thing to do. You need to move on if you need to grow. I say all these things to say that I see you and I understand what you're going through, because I was literally you a couple of months back. The first tip: is your passion fading? Does it feel like you no longer have the passion for the things that you used to do before? Don't get me wrong, there's routine. There's something like getting bored of a routine, and then when you switch things up, you find you reignite the spark that you once had in performing certain tasks or doing certain things at your job, and there's just downright you don't feel it anymore. You feel like the thing is sucking the life out of you. These are two different scenarios. If the job that you used to love starts feeling like a chore, if things start feeling a lot more stressful than they usually would be, then this might be a good sign that either you've outgrown the role that you are in that particular job, or you've just outgrown the office and the organization in general, and that is fine. Within this point, if things start feeling irritating, co-workers that you naturally like speaking to before, or people that you genuinely just liked before at your job, if they start feeling a bit too irritating, or you start nitpicking at things that they are doing, whether you're doing it openly or you're doing it in secret in your head, if you just start getting these feelings, then it's time to quit. Those people didn't do anything to you. Please don't punish them. It's time to hand in your notice and skedaddle. I know that it sounds easy the way I'm saying it's time to go, but the truth is that life is so short to just stay and not be doing things that you actually love and not be doing things that you want to do with your life. I know it may sound easy, but I promise you guys, I was unemployed. I was legitimately unemployed because I was tired and I knew that it was time. And one thing about it, if you are somebody that is religious, or if you're Bible believing, or if you have any form of religion that you follow, right, you know that there are times that when you have discernment, or when your intuition or your spirit tells you things, and if you don't obey or if you don't do those things, things just start getting unnecessarily difficult. So these tiny frustrations or these feelings of despondency may be clear signs that it's time to move on from a certain environment. However, this does not mean that you should move on without a plan. You should definitely have a plan in place. The second tip I'll say that lets you know when it's time to quit is if your work environment becomes toxic, if it becomes an unhealthy work environment for you. A lot of things can make an organization or a corporate environment feel toxic or feel unhealthy. If you don't feel supported, if you don't feel heard, if you feel like things are just not working out, or if you feel that this is not what this is not what it should feel like, or this is not what it used to feel like before. If you feel that things have changed a lot, or management is not doing the things that they are supposed to be doing to make the employees feel seen, feel heard, then it's definitely time to quit. If you have brought it up also multiple times to them and they've still not made changes about it, then it's definitely time to leave, because one, they do not value their employees. Two, maybe they just don't care, and you should not stay in an organization that does not care about your well-being. A lot of your life is spent sitting down and clocking into that organization and giving them like your intellectual property and giving them your time, your life. You don't want to stay in a place where you're not supported and where you're not heard. It's actually not by force. There's somewhere that is going to take you and will actually do the bare minimum, okay? Over time, staying in an unhealthy work environment or staying in a toxic work environment can blow up in your face. If you keep saying, oh, I'm just going to sit back, I'm just going to do it, one day somebody is going to do something that is going to make you act out of character, and there goes your recommendation letter, there goes your commendation. All the years that you have worked, all the years that you've put in that environment may then be just down the drain in terms of like getting a good commendation. So I would always recommend just living in peace, living on good terms, than living with like quarrels or living with troubles. Okay. Number 3, if you're feeling undercompensated, obviously one thing that we always pray about is growth. And by growth, I don't even mean like lifestyle creeps, like, okay, you're now wanting to buy like a Gucci bag, you're now wanting to do something bigger, go on bigger, more luxurious vacations. While these are not bad things to have, I just mean that there comes a point in your life where you just desire to make more money, where you feel like, oh, actually, I should be stepping up at this point because I have bigger goals now. Let me just put it in perspective. When you were in high school, the biggest thing to you then may have been to like get a concert ticket for a particular band that you like. And now maybe you're in your mid-20s and you're thinking, I need to buy a house. How am I going to buy a house with this compensation that I am receiving? Do you get what I mean? So if you feel that actually I need to be compensated more and I'm making big money moves this year, or I intend to start making big money moves in the years to come, then you know that that is no longer the place for you. You can either ask for a raise, but more times than not, you're more likely to get like a higher pay raise if you just switch to a new organization, because it's easier to go into a new place with a big bag or asking for a bigger bag than asking the place where you are to increase your bag by a significant portion. This can vary. It depends on organization and it depends on the industry that you are in. I know people that are in sales are heavily commission based. So if you decide that actually you want a bigger bag, you may start requesting for like bigger clients, or like taking up more responsibilities and making more sales, as opposed to if you're not in an industry like sales, increasing your bag in the same organization. When I say bag, I mean money, guys. I mean money. I just need to make it clear. So statistically, if you move to a new company, you're more likely to get more money. So if you're feeling undercompensated, it may be a big sign that, okay, my goals in life are no longer aligning with this role that was making me happy before, so I need to move. Point 4, if your job is hindering your growth, or another way to put it is if the relationships that you have made at work or sentiments from your job is hindering your growth, then it is time to leave. Sometimes I've heard people say things, this is real life story. I've heard people say things to me like, oh, I don't want to leave my job. I don't want to leave my boss because I feel like I'll be leaving them in a lurch. I feel like I'll be leaving them, I want to just be there. I promise you, if you drop and die today, there's going to be somebody in your role in less than a week. Like, let us all be so for real. We need to touch grass collectively. It is an organization. It is going to function. It is inherently made to function as like with a system in place, regardless of which individual fills the specific roles in the system or specific roles in the, you know what I mean, in the cocktail. So if you die today, like, nobody is going to care that, they may be sad, you may have coworkers that really cared about you, but I promise you that organization is going to get somebody else and fill in your role. So please don't allow sentiments hold you. If you feel like it is hindering your growth, don't feel like, oh, you want to leave your boss or anything. If it's hindering your growth, if you're not doing the things, if you're not getting the type of responsibilities that you want, if they are not letting you take trainings, go for conferences, or do all these things that are good and that will grow you as a person, it's time to leave. Please don't think like it is not a person, it is not your family, it is a job. Think about it like a job, okay? I just want to preface this by saying that there's nothing wrong with being loyal or being a loyal employee to the place that you work. That is absolutely fine, especially in cases where it is more than a job to you, right? But I also want you to also be for real. And I also want you to put yourself first. I want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about your life, because you're the only person you have. It is your family that is going to mourn you. It is your family that is going to celebrate with you. So please, let us always just put ourselves first before we put an organization that is not a human being, basically, in front of our own needs, our personal growth. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to ask you, but did we beg you though? Like, do you get what I mean? Like, not to sound like so direct, but this is true. This is like the simple truth. And I'm just trying to pass across like the relevancy of like the decisions that you need to make and the things you need to check before you leave a certain like role. The fifth and final point I have is that you know that it is time to quit when you get to a point where you are no longer growing, you are no longer expanding as a person. Your repertoire is now very, very like condensed, especially if you're still at the beginning of your career. If you know that you want to be taken seriously, if you know you want to achieve greater heights in a specific career or in a specific industry, you need to always be on the move. You need to always be growing. Something that helped me a lot is that I always used to tell myself, do you want to be a small fish in a pond, or do you want to be a big fish in an ocean? I personally, I want to be a shark. I don't know about you, but I want to be a very, very big fat fish in the sea. I don't just want to be in the pond. And I know this is so graphic and this may be funny to some of you, but genuinely, if somewhere is no longer allowing you to grow, if you feel that you are now the biggest fish in the pond and you're like, you know, there's no more space to grow, there's no more space to like progress and career development and all that, then it is time to leave. Finally, I just want to say that I know that it is not easy. I quit my job without telling anybody in my family. I quit my job without even telling, I told some of my friends, but I told them because I knew that they already know that I'm insane. Basically, they know that I'm not okay. And so I quit my job without having a backup plan. But something that I had was an application system or an application strategy. So I knew that, okay, every day, because I'm not going to work, it means that I have more time to apply. Because what tends to happen is that you go to your job, yes, you want to quit, you go to your job and you come back and then you apply and then I fall asleep and I'm not standing on business in the applications. I also want to preface this that I did this because I had the option or the luxury of like falling back on like maybe family. Like I just knew that if it got to the point where, you know, I was dying and I couldn't feed and my savings run out, I knew that I could like rely on my family. But thank God it didn't get to that, because I got a job, let me say 2 months after I quit. So I only had to like rely on my emergency funds for like 2 months. And that was how I survived. But honestly, no risk, no reward. There's a quote that says that life rewards the brave, something like that. Or there's multiple quotes that just states that life rewards people that are brave and people that take risks and people that take chances. Make sure that you're a risk taker, especially if you're young. Like, why are you sitting at a job you hate? You're too young to keep sitting at a job you hate. This is not to say that you need to quit your job without a plan. Definitely have a plan. You don't need to be like insane like me, but you need to have a plan and you need to decide what do you want for your life, and you need to stand on business. I'm so proud of you, and I'll be looking forward to hearing all your testimonies and, you know, all your new job stories. Please, let's not stay in jobs we hate this year. Do better, and happy new year if I've not said it here before. Bye guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then click on this playlist here. You're going to find so many valuable videos here that you also enjoy. Bye guys.